I'm Reverend Ira Ackrey, co-chairman of the Leaders Network. I'm also a longtime member of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson is our founder, president. I'm here standing with some of the stakeholders, faith leaders, and political figures who are supporting the relief effort in Jackson, Mississippi. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that America, the legislators, senators, and Congress has not responded in the manner that they should have. And we are going to make all kind of noise to make sure that they have the same type of attention that other areas of the world are getting from our country. Charity begins at home, and we must do all that we can to make sure that they have clean water. Please receive the interim National Executive Director of Rainbow Push Coalition, Bishop Tavis Grant.
Today we are joining the Leaders Network and faith leaders and stakeholders all over the Midwest as we're bringing hope to Jackson, Mississippi. The largest delegation of descendants from the South, particularly Mississippi, live here on the west side of Chicago. We have a vested interest, whether it is Jackson, Mississippi, Greenville, Mississippi, Batesville, Mississippi. Mississippi is home for us. And we're joining hands and joining organizations in bringing relief and hope to Jackson, Mississippi. 150,000 residents are impacted by this third world type crisis, where we know that the crumbling infrastructure, we know that climate change, and then the political construct of obstructing getting resources and revenue to the state capital of Mississippi, behind the cotton curtain there in Jackson. And so trucks are coming, resources are coming, help is on the way. And on behalf of Reverend Jesse Jackson, we want to thank this collaborative and collective of leadership who have the consciousness and the moral obligation to respond and help us keep hope alive. You can join this campaign by going to rainbowpush.org or the Leaders Network or the SEIU or AFL-CIO or ANSIBA or any number of organizations that are joining the mental health impact of this crisis on those who are disabled, those who live around nearly 30% of Mississippians who live in Jackson, Mississippi, live below the national poverty line. The health care impact, Reverend Jeanette Wilson, our National Executive Director for Push Excel, can talk to you about Jackson State, a historically black college at the center of this crisis. Education and protecting children is a premium. Reverend Wilson?
I want to thank Bishop Grant. I want to thank Pastor Ira Ackrey, the Leaders Network. I'm standing here with the NAACP, the West Side NAACP, which they will tell you is the best side, one of the most active chapters of the NAACP in the nation, and with habilitative systems. And so we're looking at a holistic approach to the issues in Jackson, Mississippi. Yes, there's a water crisis, but it's based on an infrastructure that has been crumbling for the past 3 decades. And when I say infrastructure, there is no barrier between floodwaters that do come and the sewer plant and the water treatment plant. As a result, when the floodwaters came in, the sewers overflowed and there's a backup in the sewer system. They cannot flush toilets in Jackson, Mississippi. They cannot get clean water from their faucets. They cannot take showers. And so when you look at Jackson State, many students had to leave and go home. Then there are many students from California. They could not go home. Many of those black students at Jackson State were unable to leave Jackson, Mississippi and go to places. Some people have donated porta potties. That's insufficient in the 21st century. And so we're saying that the Army Corps of Engineers must be called upon, as they have built roads in times of war on foreign shores, come and rebuild the crumbling infrastructure in Jackson, Mississippi. They have the technique, they have the tools, they have the capacity, and Jackson has the need. Additionally, the public schools have had to close because you cannot send a child to school where toilets don't flush, there's no running water in the faucets, and they cannot clean themselves. Mothers with babies, all you women who are out there, you understand what it means to be a mother. And you can't flush, you cannot wash your child, you cannot bathe your child, even in a foot tub. They can't get clean water. So we're shipping water. We need gallons of water. We've asked every sorority, every fraternity, every civic organization. It's our challenge to help Jackson, because it's Jackson today. It is Dixmoor today. It is Mount Bayou, Mississippi today, and it's coming to a city near you. We must stop this, and we're calling on President Biden. Federal government has a role to play. They have to give resources to those families in Jackson who've had to buy water and had to substitute for the failing system. We're asking the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, to start now reimbursing families. We're calling on SBA, federal and state, to make sure that they allocate resources. We've said, the governor who's running for re-election, your election depends on what you do for Jackson, Mississippi. You turn back resources for infrastructure that Jackson and other parts of Mississippi needed. And so, turn it back to you.
Well, the hands that pick cotton are also the hands that can pick state legislators. That's been the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and governors. That's been the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson, and we want Jackson, Mississippi to know that help is on the way. You see the various organizations located at the bottom of the screen, and Reverend Wilson's outlined the nature of this crisis, but there's something that you can do, and you can do it now. Our international headquarters is open every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're ready to receive from you so we can get relief to Jackson, Mississippi. I want to thank this amazing leadership, collaboration, and collective, and thank you very much, Ira Ackery, for this platform of sharing in this partnership.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
NAACP.
Well, we just want to say we support the crisis. Too often we be left behind when these things take place. We can't continue to be treated like second class, third class citizens. We have to take an effort to move this along. We support this effort, and we support the people in Mississippi, and we're just hoping that people down in Mississippi, the governors and legislators, get on board with this effort, and the federal government get on with this effort. We can't get caught like Trina and these other places. We have to be on board and be in front of this and make sure we cure this. We will asking for everybody to give support behind this.
You know, mental health is critical. Donald doing rehabilitative systems. Share just briefly the impact that this relief effort can have in helping those who are dealing with this from a mental health perspective.
Absolutely. And one of
also
the most important things I just want to emphasize is that the amount of anxiety, uncertainty, depression, and other types of issues that are triggered by this trauma, are occurring, by the day, by the moment. We're talking about our family.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about the fact that during the Great Migrations, persons from southern states, in particular Mississippi, migrated to the west side of Chicago. They landed on the west side. So we're not talking about strangers. We're talking about folks that we are related to. My dad is from Mississippi.
That's right.
And so on down the line. So many of us have relatives from Mississippi. So we're not going to ignore Mississippi. We're going to be responsible. We're going to do our very best to ensure that all of the basic needs are attended to. Often we talk about social determinants of health. Every one of those are being impacted right now in Jackson, Mississippi. So we urge you, we're asking you, we're prayerfully appealing to you to do your part and join us in this struggle.
And our final speaker is one of our most trusted and dependable allies from Oak Park, Rabbi Max Weiss, a long-serving board member of the Leaders Network.
Access to clean water ought to be a fundamental human right. The fact that in America, folks can go without clean water for weeks on end is not just a shame, it's a crime.
Yeah.
And I also want to point out that this doesn't happen in white-dominated communities. This is primarily
That's right.
in impoverished, primarily African-American communities. That is also a shame and a crime. It gives me honor to be able to stand with Rainbow Push, with Westside NAACP, with the Leaders Network, and supporting this effort to try to get clean water for places that need it.
Thank you.
As we did in Flint, we'll do too in Jackson.
Thank you.
Help is on the way.
Yep, he's on the way.